I read somewhere on like an article about good YouTube videos quality that you shouldn't wear stripes because stripes can play with the way that it's filmed and it can make it go a bit blurry. But stripes are like 75% of my wardrobe, so there's got to be stripes. Hello and welcome to today's video. And today I want to talk about something that I've been trying out recently, and that is positive mental attitude. In the least eloquent way I possibly can, positive mental attitude is essentially when you really focus on positive thoughts and feelings and try and put that out into the world and surround yourself with things that make you happy, in the hope that, you know, it has a positive effect on your mental health and that good things will come to you. It's somewhat similar to kind of putting out in the world what you would like to receive, though I have some theories that there's plenty of flaws in that particular approach to life. I found myself in a situation earlier this year where I just was not happy. I'm the sort of person who in the past has let negativity just fully take over. Like, I absorb it and it fully becomes connected to my mood and who I am and how I go about doing things. And whilst that has been brought to my attention and whilst it's something I was fully aware of, I've never particularly seen it as a bad thing. I very much have lived certain aspects of my life with the philosophy of if you aim for the worst, anything better than that is a bonus, really. And I guess that there's some validity in that belief, but looking back, it does kind of almost mean that you start in a negative position. That's not great. I think for me, I am very pessimistic, and I'm trying to change that, and I'm trying to focus more on the positives. A few years ago, I kind of realised that I was in a place where I wasn't particularly happy with the way that certain people were behaving. I wasn't particularly happy with the energy that was around me. And that's fine if that's how they want to behave and they're happy, that's okay. You do you. But I didn't want to be around it. I found it very negative, and the word sort of toxic people gets thrown around a lot. And I don't necessarily know if they were toxic people, they just weren't the people that I wanted to surround myself with. I'm quite an open person, so when I find that somebody has been sort of taking information I've told them and sort of spreading it around, I don't take too kindly to that. Firstly, I'm quite an open person, so if anybody needed to know that information, they'd know it. You know, people who meet me know that for sort of the first 5 minutes of meeting me, I'd be like, "Hi, I'm Matthew, this is my life story." And thank you for listening. I found that I was in a group where I'd go and sit down and talk to somebody and they'd be like, "Oh, we heard this," and I'd be like, "Well, I only told one person that," but then they'd actually heard from a completely different person, so it's sort of gone through a line of people before it reached them to get back to me, and I just was like, oh, that doesn't sit right with me. I'm not ashamed of anything that they were finding out about, but it just didn't make me feel good. So I sort of slowly edged my way away from that group of people, and I feel good about that. And I wish them all the best, I wish them well. I just didn't want to be around that anymore. I wouldn't say that I'm particularly selective with my friends either. You know, I obviously there's certain morals and sort of standards that, you know, I like to hold in my life, and I obviously, you know, feel that people I'm friends with should to some degree share those particular morals, and they do. But, you know, I have friends from all sorts of backgrounds and all sorts of walks of life. I like to think that I can walk into a room of strangers and leave a room of friends, and that's the sort of energy that I like to put out into the world. I like to be quite a giving person, sometimes to a fault. Not necessarily, you know, with gifts and finances, because I am loaded, but with friendship and with support. I like to be there for people if I can be, and I like to offer advice, and whilst I may be terrible at taking such advice myself, and I'm in no way qualified at times to give out such advice, I do like to think that I've spoke to enough people about their life experience to say, look, from experience this has happened, and from experience that's happened, and you know, this was one person's experience, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be your experience. I can talk a lot, not a YouTube channel of me sat in my living room talking, but I also like to think that I'm a good listener, and I like to be a problem solver. That's one of the things I love about my job, is there's a problem solving aspect to it. In the past, I have really let negative feelings take a hold of me, and that has pretty much been the way that I've gone around my life. You know, when I'm dating, for example, I'll tell my friends that I've met a guy, but it's probably not going to go anywhere, and I'll mess it up somewhere along the line, and I don't know where that comes from. I didn't have the best time in my teenage years. I didn't particularly blossom at school, and I was quite a late bloomer in terms of discovering who I was as a person. I say late, you know, I'm only 30, I'm not really old, but some people do blossom in their early teenage years, and that sort of becomes who they are, and they're really open, where for me that sort of happened later, and I'm still growing as a person, and having this whole new positive mental attitude is part of that. I don't look back at anything that I've done or the way that I've maybe looked at life before in a negative sense, which is probably the whole point of this, but it's part of who I am and how I've got to be the person I am today. I don't plan to change the way that I treat people. I don't plan to change my main philosophies in life and my morals. However, with this positive mental attitude, something that I've learned is that I actually need to be a little bit selfish once in a while. That might seem the complete opposite of what you may expect from positive mental attitude, but for me, I need to focus on me, and that's something that I've not done a lot in the past. And every time I've said I'm going to focus on me, I've got sidetracked, I've got sidelined, and that needs to stop. In recent weeks, I've stopped to take one moment every day to think of something that I am grateful for, or something that makes me happy. This weekend I was especially lucky because I got so many things to be happy about, or to be grateful for, or things that were positive in my life. You know, I got to see and spend time with my grandparents and parents. I got a new car, and I got a desk that was made for me by my friend Ash, and I love it. Now, those two last points might sound incredibly materialistic, and I wouldn't say I was or wasn't a materialistic person, but I think it's nice to have things. And whilst I fully know that there's people out there who live off the grid and do not have, you know, modern technology and don't necessarily have all the flashy stuff that we may have, or I at least have some of. I mean, I'm not tech central. That is for them, and I wish them all of the success. I just don't think it's for me. I quite like my things. Okay, maybe I am materialistic. But the car was a gift from my mum. She has bought a new car and she's given me her car. I'll post a picture here of Elphaba, so-called called because she's green. That being said, my mum's first car was called Elfie. This car is called Elphaba, and her new car is called Ellie. So she's starting to run out of different ways of phrasing Elphaba as names for her cars. But I'm very grateful to have a car. You know, it's something that I've actually didn't think would happen for me. I've been working on passing my test. I can't drive legally yet. I can drive, but I haven't passed my test. It's something that I have wanted to do for a while and keep putting off, mostly because of money. But now I have a car, I really got a kick up the backside to get it done, and I actually thought that I'd pass my test and then be really frustrated because I don't have a car. And now it's the other way around. I have a car but I can't do anything with it, and that's frustrating. But the positive in that is that I now have a motive to pass my test, and I'm doing quite well at driving, so I'm looking forward to doing that as well. And the desk is, I have an office which, as I'm working from home at the moment, is perfect. And it's just sort of been filled with cardboard boxes, and I've just sort of left them there because the recycling hasn't been taken since I moved in, so I don't know what's up with that. But my dad took the boxes away with him, and I now have another functioning room in my flat. And I've got this lovely desk, I'll post a picture here, that Ash has created for me, and I just love it. I think it's fabulous. And I walk into that room and I'm just like, oh, this is a good room, and it's because of that desk. and nothing else. No, there's other things. There's quite a lot of things in that room that make me happy. I've got a bookcase that my sister donated to me that's got like trinkets, and it's got just things that I've collected over the years on it. All my nerdy things, all my Pokemon stuff, my Beauty and the Beast collection that I have. The office makes me happy, and I've had it for 3 weeks and it's just been filled with boxes, so to have a room that I can actually now utilize, it makes me happy. And like, I'm focusing on that. I'm focusing on that energy. You know, I live alone, and that's a new experience, but it's what I'm happy about. I'm going to be going back to the office soon, I imagine, so to have somewhere to come in and be my own space, I think is going to be something else that at the moment I'm probably taking for granted, but it's going to become, you know, a haven soon. I'm trying to do more just to think positive things. You know, this year has been hard for everyone, and I just don't want to dwell on it. I don't want to look back at 2020 and be like, God, that was an awful year. I want to sit back and look at it and go, 2020 was a hard year, but because of it, this happened and this happened and this happened. I've started to pay a little bit less attention to the news. I've started to trust my gut a little bit more, and if it goes, oh, not sure about this, we maybe take a step back and we maybe rethink the situation. I've started to focus on what makes me happy, and I've started to take time to focus on that energy and not beat myself up. Oh my God, so, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same. You know, at the beginning of this whole lockdown coronavirus situation, I just felt like I should be doing more creative stuff, reading, you know, maybe I should do some writing. I'm not a particularly good writer, but I do enjoy it. You know, the YouTube channel just sort of went dead because I just, you know, didn't have the energy to do so, and I was beating myself up about it, and I was just playing video games the entire time. But you know what? Video games make me happy, and I think if I'm happy and I'm doing something that I enjoy, regardless of whether it's putting anything else out there into the universe for other people to enjoy, then I should run with that energy. You know, if I'm happy, then that means I'm in a good mental state and I'm going to just be a nicer person to be around. And that's what I've sort of been focusing on. If there's any negativity in my life, I'm just sort of putting it on the back burner. And not in a healthy way, where being like, I'm just not going to deal with that. Obviously, sometimes negative things need to be dealt with, but for the most part, the negative stuff that I have in my life is stuff I have control over, and I've just let it consume me in the past, instead of just going, actually, that's not so much of a problem, because I've got this to think about, this to think about, this to think about. I've dealt a lot with anxiety in my life, and it gets triggered a lot by stress, and the two sort of go hand in hand, and I'll discuss this probably in another video. But since I've started to just go focus on the positive, focus on the positive, focus on the positive, I actually just feel so much more relaxed, and that's something that I really struggle to do. So I'm really grateful for that, you know, being able to just sit down and take a deep breath and go, everything's okay. And it is okay. And 3 months ago I didn't know if it was going to be, and if you told me that, I mean, the last 2 years I've been on this whole sort of weird journey that I never expected to be on, and if you did tell me, even 3 years ago, you're going to live on your own, you're going to be happy, you're not going to need alcohol in your life to make you happy, I would have been like, I don't know who you're talking about, but it's not this guy. But I am that guy. As I said in my last video, you know, I am happy. And I don't want that to sound like I'm just sort of bragging now a little bit, don't I? You know, oh, I'm so happy. But I am, and I haven't been for a long time, or it's not that I've not been happy, but I've just been more content. And if I could put something out there in this video, if there's any point to this video, it's that you should try having a positive mental attitude. And when something is getting you down, just go, what's a positive in my life? And when something is getting you down, thinking, what's the positive in my life? Is that something that's going to happen immediately? Maybe not. Is it something that we're looking forward to? Maybe a holiday or an event, a family gathering perhaps. And focus our energy into that and not letting anything consume us. There are going to be times when there are struggles, whether that be financially, whether that be personally or a relationship, and those things aren't easy to deal with. But if we just take a step back from it, don't let it consume us, we'll probably find that there's an easier solution out there. I know that I'm sitting looking at certain situations where they've just completely snowballed into something that they didn't need to be, because I've just focused on the negatives, and instead of being proactive, that negative energy is just maybe curl up into a ball and hide away from the responsibility or from the stress or from the situation at hand, where actually if I'd just gone, oh, this isn't particularly great, but let's solve it, that would have done me the world of good, both in my mental health and probably financial situation from time to time. Oh, hindsight, you are a bitch. So that's what I'm putting out into the world today. Positive mental attitude. Go out into the world, look for the positives, even if it's just the weather. I am British, of course it's going to be the weather. But even if it is just the weather, oh, it is a nice day, let's go sit outside in the fresh air for 10 minutes. So once again, thank you very much for just listening to me babble on about being positive and how I've been such a pessimistic person in the past and I'm terrible. As always, if you've enjoyed this video or you enjoy my content, please leave a like. It really helps the channel grow, and subscribe, share with a friend, tell your friends, you know, come check out this fantastic guy. And then let them be disappointed. No, that's negative. We're being positive. I am a fantastic guy and I think that this is interesting, so you should tell people about it. Thank you so much for watching. Please take care. I am Dame Matthew and I will see you soon. Bye bye.